Okay, so we're doing a deep dive today. We're looking into the career, really the architecture of it, for an actor who, man, over the last, 10 years, he's just completely redefined comedic versatility.
Yeah, it feels like that.
You see him everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Playing these wildly different characters. You've got these super optimistic, almost painfully sweet political staffer.
Mm-hmm. Richard Splett.
Exactly. Then there's like a sharp Emmy-winning antagonist. And then he's also the voice of, it feels like, half the animated characters you end up loving.
He's got that voice range for sure.
He really does. And yeah, you'd be right if you feel like he's everywhere. We are talking about Sam Richardson.
It's such a fascinating career to unpack, honestly. Not just because he works so much, which he does, but there seems to be a real intentionality behind the choices.
Right.
He's somehow mastered playing in these like high-stakes, super cynical prestige TV shows.
Yeah, like Veep.
Totally. But then at the same time, he's co-creating these incredibly specific, almost bizarrely low-key passion projects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the sketch comedy stuff.
Detroiters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's ubiquitous. You see him everywhere, but he also feels fundamentally rooted in that very specific Detroit background he has. It's quite a balancing act.
That is absolutely what we want to get into today. We're digging into the sources, trying to figure out how he built this kind of dual career path.
Makes sense.
We want to track him, from that Detroit upbringing, which has this really interesting political history, and the Ghanaian heritage mixed in then through, the crucible, really, of the Second City.
A vital step.
And how that specific kind of training led him to where he is now. A Primetime Emmy winner, a master of performance, whether it's live action or, just his voice. We're really looking for the why behind it all.
Sounds good. Where do we start? The beginning, I guess.
Yeah, let's lay the foundation.
Okay, so to really get the comedy, you have to understand where it comes from, right? The foundation. Sam Richardson, born January 12, 1984, Detroit, Michigan.
41 now. Wow.
Yeah. And he's been working professionally since around 2004. Actor, comedian, writer, producer. He does a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what strikes you immediately when you look at the sources is the contrast, just baked right into his personal history.
Absolutely. The sources really paint this picture of like a duality from day one. He's got this unique dual heritage. His mom's Ghanaian, his dad is African-American.
Right.
But it's not just like a cultural mix. It goes deeper. It's rooted in, political legacy, leadership even.
That's the really critical piece, I think. It's not just about identity. It's about kind of civic weight behind him. So on the American side, you've got his aunt, Barbara Rose Collins, that was her maiden name, Richardson.
Okay.
She was a pretty significant political figure. Back in 1990, she became the first black woman elected to the United States Congress from Michigan.
Wow.
That is serious political history.
Yeah.
Right in the heart of, American democracy.
And then, you flip to the other side, the Ghanaian connection, which sounds just as, profound, really.
It really is. The sources say Richardson didn't just, visit Ghana occasionally. He went every year with his parents.
Every year.
Every year. And his grandfather, on his mother's side, he held a significant role over there. He was a chief and a local political leader.
A chief, like traditional leadership.
Exactly. So you've got this lineage steeped in traditional authority, community governance, alongside the American political side.
Okay, so let's pause there, because that combination is striking.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you ask, right, for you listening, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
If an artist comes from a background that's so deeply involved in, serious stuff, governance, making laws, cultural authority, chieftaincy, how does that background then inform a career that's mostly about satire, about comedy?
Yeah, it seems like it should pull him in a totally different direction.
Or at least give him a very unique perspective on it.
It does create this kind of interesting tension, doesn't it? He must understand the real weight of political power of institutions.
You'd have to assume so.
Yet his biggest comedic successes often come from playing characters who either completely ignore those structures or they accidentally dismantle them just by being absurdly good or naive.
Like Richard Splett.
Exactly. He chooses to kind of poke at these power structures, not through heavy drama, but through, comedy. Often very gentle comedy.
But it feels like it comes from an informed place. Maybe because he understands the actual mechanics of Washington or leadership in general, he can really appreciate the pure, unadulterated absurdity of a character like Splett, someone who just operates completely outside the normal sort of cynical political calculus.
That makes sense. And that grounding, it started academically in Detroit, too, right?
Yeah.
He went to University of Detroit Jesuit High School and Academy, graduated in '02,
Yep.
and then studied theater at Wayne State University. So this wasn't like, oh, I'm funny, maybe I'll try acting. It was an actual, intentional path towards performance.
A deliberate choice. And that path, pretty much inevitably, if you're serious about comedy back then, led him to the Second City, the legendary training ground.
Right.
He started performing at the Detroit branch first, which again shows that connection to home.
Keeping it local?
Yeah. But then he made the move to the main stages in Chicago. And that move is really significant. Chicago's Second City is, arguably the toughest, most rigorous training environment for modern comedy, period.
Okay, so let's break that down. How does that specific training turn someone into the kind of dynamic, genre-hopping actor he is now? People always mention Second City like it's magic, but what tools did he actually get there?
Well, what's interesting is how broad the skill set was that sources say he developed there. He wasn't just doing one thing. He was known for incredible character range. He mastered physical comedy, the sight gags, and he did impressive impressions of public figures, too.
Okay, so it's not just stand-up. It's like building a whole actor's toolkit.
Exactly. Like mastering sight gags. That means you have total control over your body. You can communicate complex stuff instantly just with posture or a look.
Which you see in Veep, those silent reactions.
Totally. Or even in something like the Afterparty, where there's a lot of reacting and observing. And the impressions work means he's honing those vocal skills, the mimicry, the accents.
Setting him up for all the voice acting later.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
And the sight gags mean he can command attention even without dialogue. It's the whole package.
So that period, Second City, it really was the forge. It built the foundation for the ensemble work and that ability to just transform quickly, which you absolutely need for sketch comedy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially something like I Think You Should Leave. In improv, you have to commit 100% instantly to whatever crazy idea is thrown out. Doesn't matter how ridiculous.
Right.
And Richardson clearly proved he could do that consistently at a high level in Chicago. That's the launching pad.
So, okay, he's got this intense training under his belt. He makes the big move, Chicago to Los Angeles. And at first he starts building his profile in what we could maybe call the cameo era.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He starts popping up in significant places pretty quickly.
He really did. He landed roles in major network comedies right away,
Yep.
showing he had that screen presence people noticed.
His early moves were smart, really strategic. He got into The Office for 6 episodes. Including the series finale, which was a huge cultural moment.
Oh, yeah. Everyone watched that.
So he's right there in one of TV's most beloved shows. Then he also shows up in Arrested Development when it came back for season 4. Highly anticipated. He played a TSA agent.
And didn't he play a TSA agent again somewhere else?
He did. In the movie We're the Millers. It's funny. It's like that became a little early calling card for him.
Maybe casting directors saw something there. That specific kind of bureaucratic earnestness.
Could be, but he was definitely getting seen. He was in Drunk History, New Girl, Teachers, and he started building up his film credits, too, mostly in big studio comedies.
Right, like Horrible Bosses 2, Spy with Melissa McCarthy.
Neighbors 2, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot.
Okay, so not lead roles yet, but consistently visible. He's becoming this recognizable, clearly competent face in these big projects.
Exactly, he's laying the groundwork.
Yeah.
But all of that really was just the prologue, the lead up to the role that truly changed everything for him as an ensemble player.
Richard Splett.
The Richard Splett phenomenon, Veep.
What's so amazing about Richard Splett, when you think back, is what a massive tonal risk that character felt like for Veep.
Oh, wow.
That show ran on pure, biting, often just filthy cynicism. It's currency.
Absolutely. Acidic.
And then Splett comes in, season 3. Initially, the sources say he was only supposed to be in 4 episodes, just Selena Meyer's handler during her Iowa book tour disaster.
Right, a minor recurring character. And he was just nice. Almost too nice, too good for that whole toxic environment.
And that's where Richardson's genius really showed, I think. Splett could have just been annoying, right? Cloyingly sweet.
Easily. Could have killed the vibe.
But Richardson played him with this relentless, almost unearned optimism, this fundamental decency. And somehow, instead of softening the show's edge, he became the perfect ethical foil. He amplified the cynicism around him.
That's a great way to put it. Every time Splett suggested something reasonable or pure or competent, it just highlighted how completely morally bankrupt everyone else was in Selena's orbit.
His goodness made their badness look even worse.
Precisely. And the showrunners, They clearly saw the value in that dynamic very quickly because his rise was pretty dramatic.
Yeah, it wasn't long before Split gets that job offer in President Meyer's administration, assistant to Jonah, of all people.
Which was comedy gold in itself.
Oh, yeah. And by season 4, boom, he's promoted. Main cast member. And the sources really pinpoint that promotion as his major breakthrough moment.
It really was.
Yeah.
It proved that even in an ensemble defined by, like, weaponized cruelty, that quiet commitment to sincerity, to just basic competence, could be just as comedically powerful, maybe even more so.
And Split just became indispensable, didn't he? He was often the only one who seemed to, like, succeed, usually completely by accident.
Right, just because he wasn't operating with any kind of hidden agenda or ill intent.
Yeah.
He was just trying to help.
And you see that Second City physical comedy training shine through, too, right? The way he held himself, slightly nervous, the overly earnest eye contact.
Definitely. The way he'd deliver a line, like, it was just the most reasonable, benign suggestion in the world, even if it was landing in this pit of vipers.
And the industry definitely noticed his contribution. The awards recognition confirms how integral he was to that powerhouse cast. Individual Emmys came later for other things, but the Screen Actors Guild Awards, they saw the ensemble genius.
They did. He got nominated with the cast for Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Comedy Series, 3 years running, 2015, 2016, 2017.
That's huge recognition from fellow actors.
It absolutely is. And then, in 2018, the Veep Ensemble, with Richardson right there as a core part of it, they won that SAG award.
Ah, fantastic.
That win is the ultimate stamp of approval, really. It says he wasn't just, filling a slot. He was fundamental to the chemistry, the dynamic of one of the most critically acclaimed comedy ensembles, well, maybe ever.
And that win, that level of recognition, it must have given him some serious clout, some confidence.
You have to think so. Enough capital, maybe, to start shifting focus towards having more creative control himself.
Right, so that ensemble success, winning the SAG award with the Veep cast, it wasn't just hardware for the shelf, it bought him leverage, didn't it?
Seems like it. That kind of recognition, being part of something so huge and acclaimed, it lets you start calling some shots, or at least prioritize the things you really want to do.
Which leads us right into his passion projects, the stuff he'd apparently been developing since his Detroit days. And that means talking about his defining professional partnership.
Tim Robbins.
Exactly. They took all that shared energy, that history from growing up near Detroit, from Second City.
Yeah, they were both in Second City, Detroit, and Chicago.
Right. They channeled all of that into Detroiters. And this wasn't just another acting job for Richardson.
No way. He was co-creator, co-star, co-writer, and co-executive producer, right alongside Robinson.
That shows a totally different level of commitment, doesn't it? Wanting to shape the whole thing from the idea up.
It's a profound dedication, especially to their hometown. You don't see that kind of specific, localized focus in mainstream comedy very often.
No, you really don't. Comedy Central ordered the pilot in 2015, and then they started shooting the first season, 10 episodes, right there in Detroit in 2016.
Wearing their hearts on their sleeves, basically.
And the premise itself is just so wonderfully specific.
Yeah.
Richardson and Robinson playing these, like, perpetually struggling advertising guys.
And Tim basically playing versions of themselves, or archetypes.
Yeah. And they specialize in making these super low-budget, often hilariously awkward local TV commercials.
And what's really fascinating, digging into the sources on this, is how culturally specific it was meant to be. The whole plot, the vibe, it was directly inspired by actual classic Detroit regional ads that they grew up watching.
Oh, I remember reading about that. They weren't just making up generic bad ads.
Not at all. They were referencing real stuff, like specific campaigns for a used car dealer named Mel Farr Superstar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or commercials featuring this guy, Gordy from ABC Warehouse. These are apparently legendary figures if you're from that area.
Yeah, for anyone who grew up in the Midwest or probably anywhere with strong local TV, you know those ads. They have this certain quality.
Exactly. That hyper-local comedy relies entirely on recognizing that specific aesthetic. Low budget, but incredibly earnest, like public access TV gold.
It really felt like the ultimate love letter to Detroit, translating that weird kind of nostalgic charm of local marketing into, well, really funny character-driven comedy.
And the comedy itself was often quite gentle, wasn't it? Detroiters ran on this kind of sustained goofiness. The stakes were often ridiculously low.
Like, can they afford a specific prop? Or how do they fix this terrible jingle they wrote?
Exactly. Just two buddies trying to make it work. It ran for 2 seasons, 20 episodes total, before Comedy Central canceled it in 2018.
Which is a shame. A lot of people love that show.
Yeah, they had a real cult following. But thankfully, even though the show itself ended, the partnership didn't.
No, it definitely didn't. They basically took that shared sensibility, that commitment to characters who commit way too hard to absolutely ridiculous ideas, and moved it over to Netflix.
I think you should leave with Tim Robinson, ITYSL.
Yes. Since 2019, Richardson's been a recurring guest star there, popped up in 5 episodes so far, always in these absolutely killer sketches.
He's responsible for some of the most quoted lines from that show.
Definitely. And you can see the connection, right? It's like the hyper-local, sort of low-stakes absurdity of Detroiters got condensed, squeezed down, and amplified into the sheer high-anxiety, surreal cringe comedy of ITYSL.
That's a perfect description. If Detroiters was like a warm bath of regional nostalgia.
Huh. Ha! Yeah.
ITYSL is like being strapped into a rocket powered by pure social awkwardness and rage, where every character is just one tiny misstep away from completely imploding their life over something incredibly trivial.
Like the price of shirts at Dan Flash's.
Exactly. And that shared history they have, honed in Second City, it clearly gives them this instant creative shorthand. You need that for ITYSL. The success of those sketches hinges entirely on the actor's absolute, unshakable commitment to the insane premise.
And Richardson's Second City training makes him perfect for it. He can commit physically, vocally, 100% to being the guy explaining his complicated shirt patterns or any number of other bizarre characters he's played on there.
He just dives right in.
Yeah.
And that collaborative spirit, he goes beyond just Detroiters and ITYSL. We know he was involved in the Second City project back in 2015, too.
Right, appeared in 10 episodes, but also worked as a writer on that. Got a Canadian Screen Awards nomination for it.
Yeah, showing that writing bug early on.
Yeah.
And then there was that YouTube premium series in 2018, Champagne IL. He had a main role, Alf, but he was also an executive producer on that one.
So it keeps coming back to that. He's not content just being an actor for hire. He wants to be involved in the creation, the producing side. He wants to help shape the environment, control the creative output.
It seems like a core part of his career strategy. Build the acting profile, but simultaneously build the power to make his own stuff. So, okay, he's got the ensemble success from Veep. He's proven he can co-create and star in his own niche comedy with Detroiters and ITYSL. That seems to set the stage for him to really show off the full range, right? To move beyond just comedy.
Yeah, and to move into roles where he's not just the funny sidekick or part of the gang, but actually anchoring things.
Exactly. Which leads us straight to the Afterparty. That felt like a really crucial role for him.
It really did, because it shifted him, like you said, from being maybe the reliable scene-stealing ensemble guy.
Which he's brilliant at.
Oh, absolutely. But it moved him to being the actual structural center of the show.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
He was the main cast member playing Anikagie in that Apple TV Plus mystery comedy. And, you know, a murder mystery, especially one like that where every episode mimics a different film genre.
Yeah, that structure was wild.
It requires an anchor, someone the audience can latch onto and trust through all the stylistic shifts. Richardson was that anchor.
He really held it together. He played Anik across both seasons, 18 episodes, from 2022 to 2023. He had to be earnest, kind of the dedicated amateur detective, but also sympathetic, smart enough to piece things together, and still funny.
It's a lot to juggle. It's a real technical showcase for an actor, carrying that kind of narrative weight while navigating different comedic and dramatic tones each week.
Yeah, he nailed it. And while he was doing that, anchoring a major TV series, he was also really diversifying his film work, moving beyond just the straight comedies.
Right. Using maybe some of that dramatic range or physical presence that Second City training gives you, but in different genres.
What are some key examples there?
Well, his film roles started showing really impressive range. He played Paul in Promising Young Woman back in 2020. That was a critically acclaimed thriller and much more dramatic, frankly unsettling role for him.
Yeah, that was a surprise seeing him there, but he was great.
Then he was Charlie in that big sci-fi action movie, The Tomorrow War, in 2021, proving he could handle the scale of a blockbuster, the action set pieces.
Right, holding his own with Chris Pratt.
Exactly. And then the horror comedy Werewolves Within in 2021, he played the lead, Finn Wheeler. That role used both his comedy chops and his ability to carry the main narrative thread. And importantly, he was also a producer on that film.
There it is again, producing credit.
Yep. Always looking for that creative involvement, it seems.
We should also mention how he successfully navigated stepping into existing franchises, too, which isn't always easy for comedic actors known for specific personas.
Good point. He handled the sequel pressure well. He played Gilbert, the owner of the Old Salem Magic Shop in Hocus Pocus 2 in 2022.
Which is a huge deal for a lot of people. That sequel was anticipated for decades.
Exactly. And he fit right into that iconic pre-existing world without, losing his own specific comedic energy. He added to it. He's showing he can play in these big sandboxes.
Okay, but there's this whole other massive part of his career that we absolutely have to talk about, which maybe gets underestimated sometimes.
Oh, yeah. The voice acting. It's not just a side gig for him. It's like a whole parallel empire.
It really is. And crucially, he's often taking the leading roles in these animated shows, not just popping in for a guest spot. That demands a totally different skill set than live action.
Absolutely. It's all vocal performance. Character, emotion, timing everything through the voice. And the sheer volume of his main roles is staggering. It tells you he's considered among the top tier of voice actors working today.
Yeah, just listing them almost doesn't do it justice. We should maybe think about the style of these roles, too. He's not just doing one type of voice.
Good point. He shows incredible vocal range. Let's see. Looking at the main animation leads, he was Munin in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in 2018-19. Kind of a chaotic, high-energy sidekick type.
Right.
Then he voiced Garfield Gary Geraldson in Marvel's MODOK series in 2021. Much more of a hapless, kind of grounded, put-upon coworker vibe there.
Totally different energy.
Then in Housebroken, the animated show about pets and therapy from 2021 to 2023, he played Chico, a cynical cat that demands a specific blend of world-weary energy and sharp, wry wit.
He does cynical but still somehow likable really well.
He does. And then, the huge one, taking on a true cultural icon, Norville Rogers, Shaggy, in the Max series, Velma, from 2023 to 2024.
That's a big legacy to step into. Casey Kasem, Matthew Lillard.
Exactly. You can't just do an impression. You have to find a way to reinterpret the character, make it your own, while still honoring the original. It's a massive vocal challenge, and it really showcases his flexibility.
And the lead roles kept coming. Simon Priolo in Mulligan on Netflix in 2023, Julius in Sausage Party, Foodtopia just this year, 2024.
And that's just the leads. Beyond that, he is absolutely the definition of a sought-after character voice actor. He pops up everywhere. 5 episodes as Dr. Champ in BoJack Horseman.
Which is premium adult animated comedy.
Right. He did Vendome in Star Trek, Lower Decks, Swamp Thing in Harley Quinn, Mirror Leads in Central Park. This breadth shows he's comfortable and effective in everything from sophisticated adult animation to big franchise reboots.
It's incredible. And his future slate, the sources show this vocal demand isn't slowing down at all.
Not a bit. He voiced Brill in Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken last year. Looking ahead, he's already lined up for the Angry Birds movie 3. That's slated for 2027, I think.
Wow, planning ahead.
And another animated film called Hypergalactic, which is in post-production now. So big movie voice roles, too.
And on the live action side, he's keeping busy there, too, integrating into more big franchises.
Yeah, he's stepping into the Star Trek universe again, this time live action, with a role as Quasi-Sacrifice in the upcoming Star Trek Section 31 movie.
Okay.
And he's listed for an episode of Rian Johnson's Poker Face next year, 2025. So he's actively making sure he's present and relevant across multiple major cinematic and TV universes, both in person and with his voice. He's everywhere.
Okay, so we've tracked the foundations, the ensemble breakthrough, the move to creative control, the sheer versatility across genres and voice acting. It feels like all these threads, all this diverse work kind of converged and led to this ultimate peak of individual recognition for him.
Yeah, the moment where the industry didn't just see him as a great ensemble player or a funny guy, but as a standout performer in his own right.
And that moment came via another global phenomenon, Apple TV Plus Ted Lasso.
Right. He appeared as Edwin Akufo, an antagonist character, which was key.
Definitely key. He was in 3 episodes across the later seasons, 2021 to 2023. And what was so striking about Akufo, especially for Richardson, was that he was the absolute polar opposite of Richard Splett.
Night and day. Where Splett was all sweetness, humility, accidental success, Akufo was calculated, manipulative, obscenely wealthy.
And driven by this almost childish need for revenge when he didn't get his way.
Exactly. Spoiled, powerful, and genuinely menacing in his own way. It felt like a very conscious choice for Richardson to play someone who felt like a real, albeit comedic, threat within the generally warm world of Ted Lasso.
He really brought a necessary dramatic edge, didn't he? Even in just those few appearances. He provided this crucial friction. And that performance, playing so against type, it immediately got people talking. The industry definitely took notice.
Oh, instantly. It showed his range wasn't just, comedy to drama, but within comedy, from pure-hearted sweetness to this kind of refined, entitled villainy.
And that attention translated very quickly into serious awards recognition, hardware.
Yep. Back-to-back Primetime Emmy Award nominations for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series.
First nomination came in 2022 for the episode Midnight Train to Royston.
Right. Just getting the nomination in that category is huge.
And then the very next year, 2023, the ultimate validation, he won. He won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series for his performance in the episode International Break.
Huge win. Absolutely huge.
Can you maybe put that into context for us? Why is winning in the guest actor category considered such a high bar, such a significant achievement, especially for comedic performer?
Well, it speaks volumes about efficiency and sheer impact. To win Outstanding Guest Actor, you essentially have to parachute into an established, often beloved show.
Right, like Ted Lasso.
Exactly. And in very limited screen time, maybe just 1 or 2 episodes total, you have to deliver a performance that is complex, incredibly memorable, and arguably defines or elevates the episodes you're in.
So you don't have a whole season to build the character.
No luxury of slow development. You have to land it fast, command the scenes you're in, fit seamlessly into the show's world, and make a massive impression in maybe, 15, 20, 30 minutes total. Richardson proved he could step into a cultural juggernaut like Ted Lasso and create this character, this villain, Akufo, who felt completely realized, totally essential to the plot, and just unforgettable.
So winning that specific Emmy, it really affirms that he's mastered the art of the high-impact cameo, the scene stealer who takes it to another level.
Absolutely. And the win puts him in truly elite company. Just look at the list of past winners in that category. It's comedy royalty.
Like who?
We're talking Mel Brooks, who won it multiple times.
Yeah.
Tim Conway, Bob Newhart, Justin Timberlake has won it. Dave Chappelle, Nathan Lane.
Wow, okay, that's a serious list.
It's one of TV's most prestigious comedy accolades. So to stand among that group, it confirms everything we've been talking about. He didn't just master the improv stage at Second City or the ensemble dynamic on Veep. He can also deliver that short, sharp, show-stopping individual performance that earns the absolute highest recognition in television. It cements him as a powerhouse performer, full stop. Someone who can handle basically any role you throw at him. #OutShagAtter.
So, okay, let's try and pull back then and summarize this whole trajectory. We started by asking, how does one actor manage to be so incredibly versatile, across all these different fields, from hyperlocal Detroit sketch comedy to serious dramatic thrillers to voicing iconic animated characters?
Right, and I think the key takeaway for you listening, the thing to really grasp from Sam Richardson's career so far, is that it seems to be a masterclass in how you can achieve both passion-driven creative freedom and mainstream critical success. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
How did he balance that?
Well, it looks like he used that incredibly rigorous, character-focused training from Second City to become this amazing chameleon that allowed him to absolutely excel in those high-profile, critically lauded ensemble roles. Richard Splett in Veep, Edwin Akufo in Ted Lasso.
Roles that got him noticed by everyone.
Exactly. And that visibility, that acclaim, it seems like it bought him the cultural capital, the leverage, to then turn around and champion the stuff that was maybe closer to his heart.
Yeah.
That super specific hometown comedy like Detroiters, and keeping that creative partnership going with Tim Robinson.
So it's like a feedback loop. Success in the mainstream fuels the ability to do the personal niche projects.
Precisely. It's a career built on succeeding brilliantly in the established system while simultaneously building his own thing on the side, rooted in his own unique background. Simultaneous excellence.
And if we connect that all the way back to the very beginning, those origins we talked about, the deep family ties to U.S. Congress and to traditional chieftaincy in Ghana.
Yeah, that foundation in actual leadership.
It brings us to a really interesting final thought for you to maybe chew on. We've tracked his success in acting, writing, comedy, but given that grounding in serious cultural and political leadership and seeing his consistent drive to take on executive producer roles.
Wanting that control.
Right. How might that background, that experience with governance and, high-stakes family history, how might that influence his future path? Are we going to see him maybe transition more into directing or show running? Places where he's not just shaping a performance, but shaping the entire narrative, the whole cultural conversation, maybe on an even grander, possibly more serious scale down the line?
That's the provocative question, isn't it? He clearly knows how to execute a vision. He's proven that as a producer and co-creator.
So now the question is, yeah, what vision, what story does he want to tell next, given everything he brings to the table?
That's definitely a deep dive for another day.
For sure. Well, thank you for joining us on this one.